Morning class, we'll go over 3.5 notes, compound inequalities. So you're going to hear compound inequalities and an or. A compound just means there's two of them. So how we're going to solve is we're going to write the inequalities as two inequalities and then solve it. Then we'll graph for each one, or we'll graph them on one graph. We'll graph them together. Okay? So compound inequalities, again, what they are, they're just joined, they're two inequalities. Joined by the word and or, you'll see that at all times. So we want to come here, write a compound inequality. All real numbers that are at least 3, at least -3, so they're at least that much, or they could be bigger, so we'd say greater than or equal to -3, and at most 8. So they could be 8, but they're not going to exceed 8. So we'd say it's less than or equal to 8. So how would we combine that into one inequality? Well, it's greater than that and less than that. So we'd say x is greater than, if you look at x is greater than or equal to -3, or less than or equal to 8. That would be a compound inequality. Today's temperature will be above 40. Above will be above 40. That means we're not going to include it. So it would be x is greater than 40, but no higher than 60. So do we include 60 or not, but not higher than 60? We would include it, but it's not going to be anything greater, so it's going to be less than that. Again, we combine it into one term, like that. X is greater than 40, less than or equal to 60. So this is how we want to write it, but this kind of helps us get there. So we want to go ahead and solve and graph. So if we have two inequalities, we're going to, so we have x minus 3 is greater than -3, x minus 3 is less than 8. We'll graph this as well. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and write two inequalities. So there's one and there's the other. So if you think about it, you could cover up one inequality, write what you see. Cover up the other inequality, write what you see. Now we're going to draw our lines down, and now we solve. So how do I get rid of the 3? I add 3 to this side. How do I get rid of the 3? Add 3 to that side. So -3 plus 3 is 0. That's okay for us to have. 8 plus 3 is 11. So we're saying x is greater than 0. X is less than 11. So we can write it like that. So when I go to graph that on here, so let's say that this right here is 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This is 11 down here. X is greater than 0, open dot. X is less than 11, open dot. And they go into each other. So we just have them combining in like that. Go to the next one. Same idea. We have two inequalities, so we can cover it up. Write one, cover this one up, write the other. Now we go through and solve. So how do I get rid of this 3? Subtract it. So draw your river on both of them. Now we go ahead. How do I get rid of the 3? Subtract 3. 3 minus 3 is 0. Divide by 3. Again, 0 divided by 3 is just 0. It's okay to have 0. Come over here. Subtract 3. -6 minus 3 is -9. Divide by 3. And r is greater than or equal to -3. So if you combine this, r is less than 0, r is greater than -3. So we can write it here. Go ahead and graph it. If we graph this, we'd say r is less than 0. So let's put 0 here. 1, 2, 3. R is less than or equal to 0. So close dot. Less than or equal to would be going that way. R is greater than or equal to -3. Down here, greater than or equal to. So we're going this way. And they're coming in. So it's any number between this range would work. Another example of this kind. Go ahead and cover it up. Write it. Cover this up. Write it. And now we solve. First thing we want to get rid of is that 2 in the denominator. So we multiply by 2. 2 times 2 is 4. These two cancel out. We have x minus 2, so we add 2. 4 plus 2 is 6. Come here, do the same thing. Multiply by 2. 2 times 8 is 16. Then add 2. X is less than 18. X is greater than 6. So when you come here on your graph, we combine it. Whoops, let me go back. We combine it here. X is greater than 6, so we'll go, let's make this, we could start at 0 here. 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. Okay, so we have 2 here, 4, 6, and then 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. So you can go by 2. X is greater than 0, or greater than 6, open dot, greater than. X is less than 18, open dot, less than. So they can meet there, anything between that range. I'll skip over this one, we've done this many times so you guys get the idea. Want to go through this. So here's an example of an OR. So you're going to see and, they meet together, or they're going to go away from each other. So, same idea, we just write the inequalities separately, we solve each one. So I subtract 7, so 3 minus 7 is negative 4, divide by negative 2. So, and we get x is less than, remember we divided by negative, so we switch the sign to 2. Negative 4 divided by negative 2 is 2. So we have that. Go ahead and solve the other side. Add 4, 4 plus 5 is 9. Divide by 3, 9 divided by 3 is 3. And so we have this. X is greater than or equal to 3. X is less than 2. So let's go ahead. X is less than 2. So we'll go 0, 1, 2, 3. So we have 2, 3. X is less than 2. So you go to 2, open dot, less than, so we go to the left. X is greater than or equal to 3. So 3, close dot, because it's equal to, it's greater than. Anytime you have or, they will be going away from each other. So it could be anything less than 2 or greater than or equal to 3. Last thing we're going to do is we're going to write some inequalities. So we come identify this one right here. So if we look at it, that's 1, 2, opened up. Which way are we going? We're going to the left. So that's less than. X is less than 2. We come here, closed out, so we know it's equal to. We go negative 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's greater than or equal to negative 4. Now we would combine this into one inequality. So we'd say it's greater than or equal to negative 4 or less than 2. Anytime they come together, we can write it like this. Here, they're separate, they're going away from each other, so we're going to use the word or between them. So we come down here. So this is negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's less than 6 because it's going to the left. But let's start up here. So we got less than 6 down here. This one right here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's equal to or greater, so we'd say x is greater than or equal to 5, less than or equal to 6. Because they're away from each other, we're going to use the word or. So we'd say x is less than negative 6 or greater than or equal to 5. So that's our lesson for today. Compound inequalities, that means 2 or more. We just write them as 2 inequalities and solve them each. Remember, when graphing and comes together, or means they're going away from each other.